guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Nastasia. Today I am doing it's kind of a chit-chatty video, slash advice slash just my experience with like how I used to watch a bunch of scary movies and just honestly like kind of disturbing TV shows and movies and stuff like that, and how my life has drastically changed since cutting all of that out. Like, I'm talking cutting all of it out and how much different my life is. I feel like it would have been a very interesting perspective for me to hear years ago when I was watching a lot of this stuff, if I would have even listened. Again, I'm going to tell you the backstory and stuff, but yeah, I find it a very interesting topic. You guys know I have some videos about like shows and movies I regret watching or will never watch and stuff like that, and you know I'm a Christian, and so a lot of those things have to do with my faith and stuff like that, but those videos you guys seem to really like, so this is kind of in that same realm. Before we get into it, I wanted to give a shout out to Feet Clothing. They sent me some great pieces to try out and I literally love them. So I wanted to give them a shout out really quick and show you a couple of things I got, because I don't know how you couldn't love them, and they gave me a sweet discount code for you guys, so let me show you first. Guys, if you've been around here, you might know that like my style is kind of like, oh, she looks like she tried, but also she looks really comfortable. That's what I go for, and especially being a mom, I am 9 months pregnant right now. Very pregnant, and so you can imagine that comfort is the most important thing to me with style, but I don't want to have to sacrifice. I still want to be a cool mom, you know? And Feet claims to be the most comfortable athleisure clothing in the world, and I gotta say, I think I agree. They have some amazing things. They have both men and women's styles, and I can personally attest to the fact that my husband is a little salty. I still haven't gotten him anything yet. They have some sustainably made options as well. They have the blanket hoodie, which if you don't know what that is, your mind's about to be blown because it is so comfortable. I have 2 of the blanket hoodies. I have one in the color key lime. This is the one you see here. It is so nice and comfy, and it has like a fuzzy outside but smooth inside, so you won't get all sweaty and gross, and their blanket hoodies get softer with every wash. I love the key lime one, honestly, because I don't have anything this color. It's kind of like a beautiful pastel, literally key lime, and it actually reminds me of my honeymoon because Kai and I went to Florida and we got key lime pie, and it was just such a great memory. So every time I see anything key lime, it's just like, it's very nostalgic for me and I love it. And then the other color that they sent me was in the color Venice, which is actually not one color, it's tie-dye. And I love this specific tie-dye. It looks expensive to me, like it doesn't look cheap. I feel like so many tie-dyes look just cheap. And this one I feel like is more classy. And I love the colors, it's way more my vibe. I love the oranges and stuff. It feels very tropical and summery, and again, fuzzy on the outside and smooth on the inside. They also sent me some shorts, which I love. I have the TreeCell Waffle short in Oatmilk. And this is like that waffle material that so many people love. I love it too. It's so lightweight. It's very comfortable, and they are a little bit, like if you want more coverage in the booty and hip area, I would size up. Otherwise, if you're really, you know, if you're good and you don't need that much coverage, then they're great true to size. But they just go with everything, and they're perfect for summer. And then I have the BlanketBlend shorts in BurrBlue. I'm going to be, you know, putting all this in the description, by the way, so you can click on the exact ones that I have. I would recommend sizing up if you like a little more coverage, but if you don't need it, then they're true to size. And this is the same kind of material as the sweatshirt, the blanket shorts, because they're fuzzy on the outside, but they're not fuzzy on the inside. They're nice and smooth. And they have pockets. Hello, thank you. And then the last thing they sent me is their joggers. I have the Rome joggers in HeatherOatmilk. The quality of these are literally next level, guys. They feel buttery soft. The fact that I can wear all of these things 9 months pregnant should tell you something. The comfort level, I can't even imagine when I'm not pregnant how amazing these are all going to feel and look, but like I literally wore the joggers today to work. Like it's so fun to me to see like clothes that can, you know, work in pregnancy and not in pregnancy and different things, and the quality is unmatched. The pockets, there's a little zipper in the back. So great. They're like a mid-high rise. They'd be high rise on me because I have a shorter torso. These shorts are like that as well. And you genuinely can't go wrong with the fit. The joggers are perfectly true to size for me. And guys, they gave me a code to get you guys $45 off of any purchase on their website. If you wanted a pair of their shorts that normally run $64 for how high quality it is, with my code they'll only be $19. And it's like, chef's kiss. I love a good code. I love a good discount code. So I will have that for you. I will have that code down below for you as well, but it is Nastasia Grace 45. They have other great stuff on their website too. Highly recommend checking out all their stuff. They have leggings, they have short sleeve, long sleeve. Like I said, they have men and women, so definitely check it all out. I am so excited that they chose to collab with me today and send me some of their products. Thank you so much to Feet for that. Now getting into the video, if you end up liking this video, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on a video every time I post. My Instagram is right here if you'd like to see the behind the scenes of my life. And thank you to all my patrons who subscribe to me over on Patreon. You are just the bee's knees. I love you so much. I will have my Patreon link down below. If you don't know, I upload more content over there every single month. And it's just such a great space. I love that. So if you love my space here, you will love it there. It also helps support us, and like truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Okay, let's get into it. So little backstory from, well, a lot of backstory. Let's start from the beginning. When I was very young, like 5 or 6, possibly even 4, I was always very intrigued and interested with, by the way, since I am pregnant, so pregnant, I have my water here, so don't mind me. But I was always extremely intrigued by spooky things, scary things, honestly kind of disturbing things, especially for that age. Like all the scary parts in the Disney movies that my friends would run away and cry at, I would just sit there glued to the TV and watch it. Or like the tornado scene in The Wizard of Oz, or like the, you know, the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz, and just these different things. Even once in a while, if I could sneak it, I would turn on like those ghost hunting kind of shows on the TV. Like I was very fascinated by these things, and for the most part, none of it scared me. The only thing that did was tornadoes, but I was still addicted to watching them. I don't know. But from a very young age, I was always very intrigued by that, which I have theories that I'll probably go into later. But anyway, I wanted to put that out there first because that's kind of the first memory I have of like spooky, scary, borderline disturbing television. Fast forward to middle school and high school time. So by this time, I hated scary movies. I hated them. I didn't want to watch them, and they would make me physically ill. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I would still go sometimes with my friends and stuff because I wanted to hang out with my friends, and that was the cool thing, right? Like, going to the movies, watch a scary movie, and being scared with your friends, like you're so cool. And so I would go, and I remember I have a very distinct memory actually, where I was in, was it freshman year of high school or 8th grade? I forget. But I went to see Insidious in the theaters with my friend group, and I think I closed my eyes for a lot of it, but I got so physically sick after. I was supposed to then hang out at my friend's house and stay overnight at her house, and I was throwing up, all these things, and you could think, oh, that's just a coincidence, blah, 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 whatever, but it would happen on multiple occasions, like any time there'd be a scary movie going on. And so I would still hang out at my friends' houses, I would still have slumber parties and stuff, but I would cover my eyes, cover my ears when the movies were on, but it didn't matter. I would still like not be able to sleep. So I hated them. I hated them a lot. I don't know why I kept like, I guess it's just because when you're young, you're dumb, and you're like, I want to hang out with my friends even though they're doing everything I hate. I don't know why I didn't just be like, hey, I'm gonna pass. But yeah, so I would still watch these movies. Like, I can think of so many off the top of my head that, like, to this day, even though I have like even though I closed my eyes for a lot of it, closed my ears for a lot of it, there would be certain scenes that stood out to me, and they're just like scarred in my head. From middle school and high school, I'm 26 years old as of now. Like, that's a pretty long time. That's over a decade for a lot of that. Fast forward to college now, not now, but like now we are fast forwarding to college. I still didn't love scary movies like horror movies and stuff like that, but I started watching a lot more of like, in late high school I started watching like Teen Wolf and stuff, and so then in early college I started watching like Vampire Diaries, different things, which I think are kind of like a gateway into more scary things, more of like the supernatural type shows and stuff like that. So I'd watch those, and those didn't bother me. Oh, in high school too, I did watch Pretty Little Liars, which a lot of people wouldn't necessarily consider scary, but like it started getting a little bit more intense than what I was used to, whatever it is. So in college I started watching like Vampire Diaries and stuff like this, but I still wouldn't watch like horror movies, and not a lot of people did. I went to a Christian college, and so it was a lot more common that more people just didn't have an interest in watching those things, which benefited me because I didn't want to. However, like there were different, like around Halloween, which you guys know now if you've been around for a minute, that as of now, like now in my life, Kai, my husband and I, we do not celebrate Halloween. We don't do anything related to Halloween, but in college I did. And so we would go to like these Halloween, like those haunted houses that they set up and then people dress up and all that stuff. That stuff didn't scare me. Like people started jumping out at me and stuff like that. It didn't scare me anymore. Like, so I started getting used to stuff like that. And then there was, so junior year of college, I had an internship in Washington, D.C. And the way it worked was, it was through my college, and we lived on this apartment. So everybody who was accepted into the internship lived on this apartment floor that our college was like rented out each year. So they didn't own the entire apartment complex. It wasn't anything like that. It was a really old building and stuff like that, but they rented a floor out. So the other floors were not from our college, if that makes, it is important, I promise. So I lived in a room with 2 roommates. On that floor, I was there for the spring semester, and our apartment was possessed. I guess you could say haunted. I mean, I don't believe in ghosts. And so I say possessed because I believe it was demons. But, so we lived in this apartment, you know, with this situation going on, and it was pretty much as horrible as you could imagine it being. I laugh so I don't cry. There have been times where one of the roommates that I lived with, her and I are still friends to this day. She was in my wedding, and once in a while, like it's been how many years since then? 5 years. And sometimes we'll just text each other and be like, that happened, right? Like, because some of the stuff that happened in that apartment was so insane that it makes you like gaslight yourself and think like, I must have made that up somehow. So it really helps that we had each other as witnesses. But this is important to the story, I promise. This does relate. We had to live there. We couldn't get out. We were there from January to the end of April. I think she was there to the beginning of May. It kind of depended on what our jobs were, and we had different jobs. But I was there from January to the end of April, and there was no other option. That was the housing. There wasn't another dorm to go in. There wasn't another anything. And we actually found out that people prior to us, years before us, because the college had owned that floor for a while, that rented that floor out for a while, other people who had been through the internship, they experienced the same thing that lived in the apartment that we lived in, and no one believed them, no one did anything. And so this whole video is not going to be about that. One day I might share that story, but the reason it's important to this situation is that going into that phase, that internship of like that spring, I was terrified of all things scary movies, scary anything. I did not want anything to do with it, all this stuff. but I still had this kind of fascination with the spiritual realm because it is real, like, obviously, like, if you're a Christian, I should say, obviously, like, it's obvious to me, the spiritual realm is real, but I wasn't interested in, like, watching movies about it or whatever. But having to live in that apartment, and not being able to get out, we had to come to the conclusion that we just had to choose not to be afraid, because what are you gonna do? Like, it was one of those things where doors slam right in front of your face, cabinets open, like, things, it was, again, I could go into a whole thing, but like knocking on the walls next to me during the night, like hearing it, like, it was very, very, very intense. It was its own scary movie. And because we had to live through that and nobody really believed us that could actually make a difference in our living situation, we just had to choose to just get through it. And because of that, we had, well, I shouldn't say we anymore, this I don't know if she did, I became very desensitized to scary things. Because what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things where I had to just decide I can't be afraid, because what am I going to do? Live in fear for 5 months? And so I think in a way it was a gift from the Lord. Like, he, you know, I learned a lot of coping mechanisms for fear and all this stuff, which was good. But coming out of that situation then, when I finally got to leave in the end of April, it was very interesting that I immediately could watch any scary movie, and it did not faze me at all. Like, I'm talking some of the most horrific scary movies you could possibly think of, like the most disturbing, all of this stuff, literally I didn't bat an eye. Like, it didn't scare me, it didn't make me jump, it didn't make me, like, it didn't, nothing. Because I saw it then as like, oh, I lived that. Like, it wasn't really a movie to me anymore. It was like, oh, I just went through that. Like, and so while I think some of the desensitization, the desensitizing was actually a gift from the Lord to get me through that time, I think it also got spun in a way and abused by the enemy that I almost wanted to watch these scary movies now, because I felt like powerful, that it couldn't affect me anymore, that I wasn't afraid, that I wasn't, you know, all these things. And so that began, that's why that story was important. That began like 2 years of my life after that point, where I was obsessed with scary movies, like disturbing TV shows and stuff like that, American Horror Story, you know, these, you know, like different like serial killer podcasts and stuff like that, which I know a lot of people love crime podcasts and stuff, but I'm trying to paint a picture of like, it was everything. Nothing fazed me. I could watch the scariest movie at freaking 2, 3 in the morning by myself in the dark and it not do anything to me. I was that desensitized. And at the same time, I was looking up, this is partially probably where I went wrong too. When I was living in that apartment in DC, because I felt like nobody was helping us, I felt like I had to like figure it out myself. And so I went to YouTube, I went to these different things, I started researching more of a spiritual realm, but I can't even say, I don't even think I can say the word demons, but like the bad spiritual realm. I say I can't say it because I don't know if YouTube will demonetize me, but my point being, I like was looking up all this stuff on YouTube and everything. I was watching different Shane Dawson videos and all this stuff that were talking about all these really creepy things, and I was doing it in my head to like learn about it, to like figure out how to handle it, but really it was also desensitizing me to that stuff. And so then when I was watching these scary movies and stuff after the fact, like I was already setting myself up for that. Like, and when I say desensitized too, I don't even know if I was fully desensitized, because I look back now and I'm like, you were on antidepressants that you just had to keep upping. Like, I had to keep upping my dosage. And I acted like I was fine, but I think I was just genuinely numb inside to so much, caused by that and also caused by my experiences in DC. And so my point being, I was setting the whole stage for that, to say that my senior year of college, and then even the year after that, I remember the only shows and like movies I even wanted to watch were these terrifying things. And I remember even watching them and being like, I feel like I should be more disturbed than I am right now. And during that time too, I guess actually really my whole life, I have always had nightmares, and not the type of nightmares that like normal people have. I would have really disturbing nightmares, and I just always attributed it to like, this is the way I am, this is what I deal with, whatever. But I think it started from a very young age with my like fascination in all these scary things that was not appropriate for my age, like at all. And so it was too much for my little brain, you know? And then even as I became an adult in college, it was still too much for my brain. And then that senior year of college, that was when the nightmares got really bad. That's pretty much the story, kind of, other than, I mean, I'm gonna get into now how I cut it out and stuff like that, but as for the backstory, except for in like 2019, I think it was, is when Kai and I met, my husband, and we started dating in August, and it was around the time we started dating that something switched in me. I can't pinpoint a moment, a day, anything, that it just started switching. But these movies, this content, all this stuff started really disturbing me. I was still on my antidepressants at the time, so it wasn't that. But something just switched in me. And I remember we would still watch kind of semi-scary, even semi-disturbing, you know, just like psychological thriller type movies with friends. And I would walk away from it being like, wow, that really affected me. Like, I'm not okay. And there was this one movie in particular we watched with them that I'm not even going to tell you what it was, because I don't even want you to go watch it. I don't want you to look it up. It's not even a popular movie. I had never heard of it. We didn't even think it was going to be scary, and we ended up watching it, and it was genuinely one of probably the most disturbing movie I've ever seen in my life. And it shakes me to this day, and it's been almost 3 years since I saw it, and I will still think of it like once a month. It was that disturbing. And when that happened, I decided no more. I can't do this anymore. I can't watch these shows anymore. I can't. And at that time I was still listening to kind of like crime podcasts and serial killer podcasts and stuff, because I do find like criminology and psychology and stuff interesting. My camera had to charge, the lighting has changed, I put on a sweatshirt, I have a smoothie, you're caught up now. So, continuing. So I was still listening to some crime podcasts and stuff at this time, but I started noticing that those things were really affecting me too, and I started just having a lot of fear just in general, and I was just depressed and sad, like all the time, thinking about all the things that could happen, that could go wrong, all this stuff, still having a lot of nightmares, genuinely just kind of like sad, irritated, all this. I slowly started cutting out that stuff too, and yeah, things started affecting me more, and this is where I get into how my life has changed since cutting out these things. So I started with just cutting out like the scary movies, the horror movies, and the scary TV shows, and then kind of more of like the scary podcasts and stuff like that. The last thing that I cut out was really like YouTube crime videos. And by the way, me saying all this is not saying that like you're a bad person or you're not a Christian or something if you watch or listen to these things. That's not my point. My point is that I know me, and I know I am a highly sensitive person, and these things very greatly affect me, and I don't know why it randomly switched and like affected me very intensely, but I noticed that when it did, I was not okay in my head. I was not okay just like day to day. Like I was yeah, blech. And, well, I will say, okay, actually the last thing that I kind of cut was more disturbing books. There was, I listened to the audio book of The Silent Patient back in January or something of this year. And that, I believe, will be the last book that I read of that disturbance level. Because it was, some people might not think it was, but for me, it was like intense. I'll still probably read like Agatha Christie or mysteries. I still like mysteries. It's more of the stuff that's like more made for today, like modernized, where it's just really intense. So let me tell you some of the ways that my life has changed since cutting this stuff out, and why I think it has made such a difference, biblically speaking. So first of all, my nightmares started lessening so much and then going away pretty much completely. I'm talking, like, I was telling Kai this, growing up, like, there were certain years of my life, especially then when I got into like the senior year of college and stuff like that, out of the 365 days of the year, I had nightmares probably 360 of those days. Like, it was that common for me. It was every day. And I got so used to it. It was just like, it didn't faze me, it didn't bother me. And again, it wasn't just like weird dreams. It was like terrifying, disturbing dreams. And it's not like I liked them, but I just accepted it. And people would tell me it's because you're what you're watching, and I'd be like, no, it doesn't affect me like that. You know what I mean? But even if I wasn't audibly scared out loud in the moment, it was all going up here, and it was all being stored. And psychology is very interesting to me. I know next to nothing compared to a lot of people, so keep that in mind. But from the things I have, you know, kind of put together and studied and stuff, there's a lot that our brain takes in and our subconscious takes in that we don't even realize in the moment, and it has to work through those things. And I believe there's a lot of things that we are exposed to today that we were never really intended to be exposed to. I guess some people would say that that's just sheltering yourself then, but it's like, all right, if I'm sheltering myself from some pretty horrific things and images and concepts, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because the world is already so broken. Why do I need to add more brokenness to it? You know what I mean? And so anyway, my point being, I think that my nightmares, them going down, was, I think, directly contributed to me starting to cut those things out. On top of that, I noticed that I was way less sad. I got off my antidepressants a year ago now. Wow, it's been a little over a year now. I'm proud of myself because I did it all by myself, and this isn't any kind of advice, you know, medically or speaking or whatever. It's just something I did. I'm very glad personally that I did. And I knew that if I was going to get off of those, I definitely couldn't return back to watching those things because I could barely handle it being on them. So I'd be a friggin' basket case if I was off and watching them. Anyway, and so I became very careful about what I put into my mind, even more so this year. So this year it was right after Christmas. I remember I was making goals, and it was more like goals before the baby gets here, which I have to revisit them actually, those goals, and see where I'm at. But one of the things is I really wanted to drastically cut down and cut back on the amount of TV that Kai and I were watching, because it was just an everyday thing. It was just like something to do. We would just have the TV on. And I know this video is supposed to be just about like the scary movies and stuff like that, but I want to throw this in here because my life has changed drastically for this too. We would watch probably at least 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of TV every single day, and on the weekends more. So that's 14 to 20 hours probably in a week. Now we watch, genuinely, I'm not just saying this, maybe 1 to 2 hours of TV in a week. We only watch TV now on the weekends. And usually it's just one show that we watch each week, and we'll watch like an hour. If there's an off week that like I had the stomach flu a few months ago or whatever, we watched a little bit more TV that week or whatever, but like we don't even want to anymore. And so I'm saying this because I connect it to how much like my body was reliant on that extra stimulation from the television in general, but also those intense TV shows and those intense scary movies and stuff like that, because now being more separated and detached from television and movies and stuff, I notice so much more when we do watch like a movie or something. I'll be like, oh my gosh, they put that in there? Like things that before I wouldn't have bat an eye at. And now I look at it and I'm like, whoa, that's like kind of gross, or that's like, you know, intense, or that's really disturbing or something like that, even in movies that you wouldn't even picture that aren't scary movies or something like that. Like, I feel like I detoxed off of TV and off of all the concepts they just feed you constantly. I have to add in here, I am still working on social media though. I spend way too much time on social media, and that's something I'm trying to detox off of too. But since cutting out scary movies in general and scary TV shows, and now cutting back on TV altogether, not totally, we still watch it, but like cutting drastically back, I can honestly tell you, I am such a happier person. I sleep better, not just because of the nightmares like are gone, but I sleep better. I get so much more done. You have no idea how much time you have in a day when you cut out like TV and movies. Again, I can't even imagine how much more time I'd have if I got control over my social media and stuff like that. But I have so much more time. I do more things. I realize that I am more in tune with kind of like my thoughts and my feelings and like working through things. Like I realized how much I would cope before with different things in my life by just binging a show or different things. And I'm also way more aware of how my body physically feels after I've watched a lot of TV. Like, I feel gross. Like, I feel like, I'm not talking even meant like, you know, like, oh, I can't believe I shouldn't have watched that much. I'm talking like physically I feel like sick. Like, I get headaches, I get more irritable when I watch too much TV, and then, and that's just TV in general, so like it's even more if it was something scary or disturbing or whatever. So I wanted to also add in, just before I finish up, but like some different Bible verses kind of things, or I guess biblical concepts, but there are so many times in the Bible that it talks about guarding your heart, and even it talks about the eyes and like what you take in, and just being very cautious about what you fill your mind with. There's a verse of, I might butcher it, but just like whatever is good, whatever is lovely, whatever is beautiful, and I'll put it on the screen with the verses, but whatever is holy, think about these things. And that convicted me of like, I am filling my mind with so much garbage of these terrifying things, and you know, if I went through that checklist, is this good? Is this pure? Is this lovely? Is this holy? Is this beautiful? No, it's not. And I, you know, again, that's not to shame you. This is a me thing. This is what I had to deal with, you know, and as for me in my house, and you deal with your thing. But I had to come to Jesus moment of like, are these things I'm filling my mind with, are they glorifying and honoring to the Lord and to my temple that He has given me, to this body, to this mind? Like, am I just hurting myself, you know, by doing these things? And I was, for me personally. And I think that there's also different lines, you know what I mean? Like, there are certain things that, like, you know, I don't necessarily think crime podcasts or whatever necessarily affect everybody the way that they affect me now and stuff. But I do think there are some hard lines. Like, I think there are certain movies out there that are so grotesque and disturbing that I don't understand how anybody could say that they are beautiful and lovely and pure and holy and stuff like that. And I know there's sometimes a lot of people who say, well, it's just fun, it's just entertainment, it's not real, it's not real. You'd be surprised how much of this stuff is real and how much the enemy uses it to do very real things. And so again, that's not me telling you what to do or what not to do, it's just something, food for thought, that, like, imagine if it is. If that's the only thing holding you back and saying like, well, I'm going to keep watching this stuff even though I know it's bad for me because it's not real, then imagine if it is. Does that change your perspective? Because a lot of it is real and there's a lot going on that you don't know. But that's a whole different thing. But my point being, you know, I realized that I was at a point in my life where there is already so much chaos and destruction and sadness and scary things happening in the world we already live in, that I didn't need somebody to also formulate these terrifying things and feed them to my brain in my spare time as well. Like, this world has enough trouble of its own. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And we don't need to add to it. We don't need to help by actively filling our heads with these things. And so anyway, there's a lot of ways, I'm probably rambling at this point, but there's a lot of ways that I feel like I have become a more stable person, like mentally, and just like the clarity of my mind, I guess you could say, is way sharper now. Separating myself from those disturbing, scary concepts in TV shows and movies and podcasts and stuff like that. And then also just like separating myself from the amount that I was consuming as well. I like who I am better, if that makes sense. And so, again, this isn't meant to be like a shame thing. This isn't meant to be a I am better than you or worse than you kind of thing at all. I understand I am a highly sensitive person. But I also don't see that as a weakness. I see it as a gift. And I see it as the way God made me. And like, I want to fully embrace that and not be trying to desensitize myself again and numb myself again. I am so grateful that I am no longer desensitized to those things. I am so grateful that I feel as much as I feel because I think it is a strength. And so this is a lot for those people out there who feel like me and who feel like they're too sensitive. Maybe you're not too sensitive. Maybe it's a gift God is using and he's kind of calling you to pull away from those things that are trying to desensitize you, if that makes sense. So anyway, I hope this video, I mean, I know it was kind of all over the place and chatty and stuff. I could always do, you know, kind of like a part 2 or explaining it better if this didn't make sense. But if nothing else, I hope you just take from this that, like, evaluate your life, evaluate what you're consuming. You know, people say you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? What if the thing you're spending the most time with are these TV shows, these characters, these movies, these, you know, the brain still works the same way. If you are constantly around those characters, even if they're not real, like, if you're filling your mind with those horrific things or images or whatever, it does start to affect you, like psychologically and sometimes even physically. So just evaluate your life, you know, and your day-to-day. Do you feel gross after you watch these things? What is actually the reason you're watching them? Is it because of boredom? Is it because you're just trying to cope with something and that's not really the good way to cope? Ask yourself these hard questions and ask the Lord to reveal to you, you know, what he wants you to do to give you his eyes to see, and you know, a pure heart. And that doesn't mean perfect. I don't think I'm perfect by any means, but I share this to say I am so much happier now, and I want everybody to be happier, you know, like I want everybody to be happier. And if these movies and TV shows are doing something in you the way they did something in me in a negative way, I hate that for you. And so Anyway, just food for thought. Thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget to check out Feet Clothing. I will have them down below in the description or to the side, wherever the description is now. I don't even know. But don't forget you can use my code for $45 off. What a score. And I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye!